source of help and assistance is internal. You have to take a journey to inner space, the internal side, the inside. We were sent here to save ourselves. We are our own saviors. Proof in point, when you go out and into your community, if you see somebody that needs assistance and you help them, you become that person's savior. No deities needed. It's just something called empathy and understanding and taking taking action. And we have the same capability within us to even search within ourselves to save ourselves and help ourselves. I think the more we look externally for salvation, the more you'll never find it. I think you have to look to the inside, and that's one of the big esoteric messages that Thoth carried in the Emerald Tablets.
Yeah, that's well said, Billy. I really agree. When the more you look at the system and the perfection that's behind it here, and I know a lot of people will shrug their heads and they'll say to me, "What makes you think that a person couldn't design a system like that?" I've thought about that a lot, but the more I actually break the entire thing down, like Billy said, this incident at the Tower of Babel with the idea where there was once a common language that was shared among many, many people and a common understanding that we're all just a group of mankind together. And all of a sudden at that moment, this dividing moment in history, we were purposely divided, sent all over the place. Languages were all divided and given to different people. Races were put against each other. People were made to hate each other, to fight wars against brother and sister. And that's what they always say in the tablets. They say, why are you fighting your brothers and sisters? Because that's what the higher level perspective of us would see this as, whereas we're too caught in the middle of it with all of this hate and all of these distractions that constantly push us and pull us back and forth. Well, what is this system here? It's a multi-pronged system. It's an umbrella over our reality that basically creates this narrow perspective of how we can do everything. And the way they do that is to create certain laws and certain ways to perceive reality. So if you were to say, well, how do you perceive this type of idea, this word, this reference, this object? How do you perceive it? And where did you get that perception from? People might scratch their heads and said, well, I was told that. Okay, so you were told to have that perspective on something, but you didn't actually come up with that perspective yourself.
Idea yourself. That's it. You had to be shown.
This is where the system comes from, where you can actually trace a lot of the laws and the monetary systems that are in place, and these organized banking systems, and the rise of the military industrial complex, and going all the way back a lot further than that to things like the rising of empires like the Roman Empire and the destruction of what was known as the old religion, which Billy knows very well. The idea where, well, spirituality and religion were actually one and the same back long ago, but there was one of these control systems that was seized, one of the last means for us to break out of the system, because that's what it is. It's basically like the guide for us to understand the nature of our reality around us, but also understand the non-physical side of who we are. And once that became corrupted, thousands and thousands of years ago, we became locked in this Darwinian model of thinking that we're just an evolved ape and we're fighting here to rise up and conquer our world. Whereas if you really think about that on a higher level, it's a very, very silly way to perceive things around us, especially if you look at how it seems like everything has been this perfect control system and destined to happen at a certain time. So for instance, when you look at the destruction that occurred, like Billy was talking about, to a lot of these ancient civilizations, individuals, great kings like Hammurabi and like Etania, they had stated in the ancient cuneiform tablets and writings that they left behind that all of the governing structures that they were following were given to them from above, they said. And in fact, they went a step further to say that they were actually designated to rule. It wasn't just a random thing where kings rose up to rule over and they were just wicked because they were, corrupt and bad people. It was actually certain bloodlines that were designated to rule over people. And they were called the archetypes of society, the architects. And they were the archetypes of designing how we would view everything here and what we would be doing on a daily basis. And those systems haven't changed really at all. If anything, they're situation of war and fear and keeping us in this corrupted state has only reached its climax now, in my opinion, where we're in this reality right now where we have
it's all being unraveled.
We have the availability to see the truth. It exists at your fingertips through technology and through this interconnected collective society we have. And yet, at the same time, because of how much we've been subconsciously tricked and lied to, and how much people want to be accepted and normal, they're willing to ignore anything that goes out the mainstream because they don't want to be looked at as crazy or all these different things that come down. And like Billy was saying, and I want him to comment on this, the idea of how clever it was to lump any single possible conspiracy theory, regardless of what it is, all in the same category so that you can essentially control the message and label anyone as being a heretic or just a conspiracy theory nutcase. That way you can just keep the truth nice and controlled. When you say, Billy?
Spoke to headlines about the conversation this morning. Howard Stern, no less, played the whole thing. Friends in the booth, please drop the crawl at the bottom of the screen. Take it away. Because we've taken what Terrence said, we put the words at the bottom of the screen to see if we can all better understand it. Good luck to all of us. Lucius is in the house. Terrence Howard here. You made huge headlines when you said after you complete these 15 episodes of Empire, you got to walk away for a while or forever?
For good. I mean, everyone keeps trying to tell me don't say it's forever, but I've spent 37 years pretending to be people so that people can pretend to watch and enjoy what I'm doing when I've made some discoveries in my own personal life with the science that Pythagoras was searching for. I was able to open up the flower of life properly and find the real wave conjugations that we've been looking for 10,000 years. Why would I continue, walking on water for tips when I've got an entire generation to teach a whole new world?
That's a big remark. Yeah. What do you intend to do?
Well, let me put it this way. All energy in the universe is expressed in motion. All motion is expressed in waves. All waves are curved. So where does the straight lines come from to make the platonic solids? There are no straight lines.
Well, there you are.
I tried to change the
Right. Aren't you getting a star?
He's rebuilding the universe. You're going, well, you're getting a star.
So, again, I think that will be an even more widely attended cover. He gets a star Tuesday on the Hollywood Walk.
We got to be there.
We really.
But he's rebuilding Saturn
at
that
without
last
gravity.
And no platonic solids.
Yeah.
I don't want to go viral.
Right.
This
is that is you. Like the whole world is trying to go viral, and you don't want to go viral. That's good.
Please.
Good for you. You're being true to yourself.
Yeah, they've done a phenomenal job, making these conspiracy theories crazy, psychologically impaired. What they've done is they've utilized what they put into us, which is we're the prisoners and we're also the prison guards. So by injecting this negative concept into the society, they've got it set up to where, as soon as one person tries to stand up and talk about the establishment,
they get shut down.
Somebody else will instantaneously, you call it the Agent Smith effect, like how Agent Smith in the Matrix, he jumps into a person's body.
Smith will suffice. Thank you. My pleasure.
You can instantaneously see it. So if you're sitting there talking to somebody, you're talking about the Kardashians, and it's a great conversation. You guys can laugh and joke back and forth. But if you stop in the middle of the conversation and say, by the way, 9/11 was done by the United States government, all of a sudden, you're going to see that person's face change. Their countenance is going to change. That Agent Smith jumps into their body. Now that person who was a prisoner, a mental slave and a physical slave, has just now turned into a prison guard and is there now to stop you from moving any further, stop you from talking about it any further, and to redirect your conversation instantaneously, thereby locking you back up, in the non-physical form, locking you back up mentally to put you back in your place in this jail of mental enslavement and take you back to talking about things that really don't matter anymore.
You. Yes, me. Me too.
And,
and let me bring up really quick, Billy, on the reason why that I think people do that, and the reason how this prison guard system was created here. We as conscious individuals have this internal viewpoint of what reality is, and that is always running within us, and people find comfort in knowing that they understand what's going on. And so the more that time has gone on, we've been learning that, you know, a lot of this information has not always necessarily been true, and we've been using experts, so-called experts, to judge everything in reality, and we just blindly go along with it.
Then you're aware of it.
Of what?
Our connection. I don't fully understand how it happened. Perhaps some part of you imprinted onto me, something overwritten or copied. It is at this point irrelevant. What matters is that whatever happened for a reason.
And what reason is that?
I killed you, Mr. Anderson. I watched you die. With a certain satisfaction, I might add. And then something happened. Something that I knew was impossible, but it happened anyway. You destroyed me, Mr. Anderson. Afterward, I knew the rules. I understood what I was supposed to do, but I didn't. I couldn't. I was compelled to stay, compelled to disobey. And now here I stand because of you, Mr. Anderson. Because of you, I'm no longer an agent of this system. Because of you, I've changed. I'm unplugged. A new man, so to speak, like you, apparently free.
Congratulations.
Thank you. But, as you well know, appearances can be deceiving, which brings me back to the reason why we're here. We're not here because we're free. We're here because we're not free. There's no escaping reason, no denying purpose, because as we both know, without purpose, we would not exist.
It is purpose that created us. Purpose that connects us. Purpose that pulls us, that guides us, that drives us. It is purpose that defines. Purpose that binds us.
We are here because of you, Mr. Anderson. We're here to take from you what you tried to take from us.
But now people are starting to question that. And we're starting to see some people come in and, you know, take little pieces out of this control of views of history. So how does the guard system work? Well, people will have to maintain this version of reality within themselves. And that's based on an entire lifetime of them feeling like they didn't waste their time with everything from high school up through college, up through anything that they're learning through TV or the radio or whatever's coming through. It's this lifetime of accumulated knowledge that represents their reality. Now, when you talk about things that could shatter the entire paradigm of how they view reality, when you say something like what Billy says, on how there are these really dark sides of our reality where there are individuals that are very corrupt and want to control things and create wars and create fear and a lot of these other things. When you learn that there is a lot of darkness and evil, it's very uncomfortable to think, okay, I don't live in this happy little place where, you know, the government is just looking over me and wants the best interest for me. And okay, so when they're dumping fluoride into my public water, that's just for my teeth. They're doing a really good job to help keep my teeth nice and clean and keep free of cavities. That's all that is. Oh, don't even bring it up. And then if someone else comes in and says, well, look at all the food that you're being promoted. Why is everything about fast food and all these different aspects of ingesting things that lower our vibration? You know, why is it that when you go out and you eat this Big Mac, why do you feel so gross inside and you feel drained and you have to just sit there and sort of digest? Because that food and that what you're taking in has lowered your vibrational frequency. Isn't that interesting? And just like, and then you look at medicine, all these artificial compounds that keep us sick, that don't
and it's feeding that chain, isn't it? It's feeding that higher chain of control systems that they've built.